Welcome, Taurus, to your 2021 yearly reading and forecast. Let's see what there is underway. I'm going to pull 4 cards, one for each quarter of the year, so 4 3-month periods. I'm going to use a pen to point out some of the very esoteric and mystical imagery in these cards, which will influence the meanings that they have for you. Now let's get things underway. In-depth monthly readings, of course, can be found on the playlist, or obviously if you subscribe, they come directly to you. But let's get things underway now. And if you want to see what I do, just check out the description box. Now, let's see the first card. This looks like it's coming out. Death. Excellent. Great card for the first of the year. There is the 6 of Swords. It's a good card too. This might be your best year ever. Wow, there's the 3 of Discs. It could well be your best year ever. Now let's pull one finally. Then I'll get you to come around and sit down next to me and you can see what the imagery means for you. There's the Moon. Okay. Come on, sit down next to me. Let's have a good close look at the imagery on these cards. I'll use a pen to point out the really interesting stuff that you're going to love, and we'll see what's in store for you. Okay, Taurus, now these playing cards are here just because I like the energy that they bring up. The first 3 months of the year, the second 3 months, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter. Let's have a look at this one first. Now, during this period, there will be... how's that for an image, hey? Isn't that great? Now, this is, of course, what I call the secret name of this card is the Child of the Great Transformers, the Lord of the Gate of Death. It is Mars ruling Scorpio. Mars, the fiery planet. And here, the fire energy is in its lowest form, which is necessary to provide the impulse for change. I think what we have here is the case that there will be changes coming about in your life. Now let's look at some of the imagery of this card before I tell you what's going to happen. Now why do I have Scorpio? Well, because for me Scorpio is all above this. Now down at the bottom here, you can see a scorpion. Now the scorpion might be seen as a watery element, in this case the hard element of water such as ice. But the scorpion is between a lotus on this side and a lily on this side, and they are both signals of Saturn. And so it is between the alpha and the omega, between the beginning and the end. The second form of Scorpio is that of the serpent, which is more fluid and undulating, which might be seen as liquid water itself. The third aspect of Scorpio is the eagle, and here, of course, it is air. It is exalted. It has become one. I'll get into more of this in just a second. Now, this is where it is exalted, and in air, it's, if you like, the airy part of water, which is steam or vapor. Now, what do we have down here? We also have a fish here. Now, the fish also has a link, I think, to me for Pisces, because that's the last zodiac sign, and so it's as if things are finishing and you have new things to do. So the scorpion itself represents the lowest form of death and is situated, as I say, between this alpha and omega. Legend says that when a scorpion is in a situation that it can't win, it stings itself to death. In the card, it represents the gross, illusory side of death. By denying our infinite spiritual nature, we also die to life and living it fully with purpose. The serpent fish talks about life and the fish together. Well, they talk about conscious living and unconscious living. Life and death are 2 curves of the same serpent. The pair, the snake and the fish, also represent the masculine serpent and the feminine fish in union, depicting the act of creation. And to that end, they are placed just behind the origin of the phallus. Now, if you look at this looks like a phallus, doesn't it? Which is about creation. This skeletal figure here is, I assume, the skeletal figure of the Egyptian god Osiris. who died by going into the water and never coming out again. So that was him. And the color black is also associated with Saturn, which is about time, isn't it? And so here we have the creation in all sorts of places, even though there is a destruction with this scythe that's around here. But this netting, the scythe cuts away the netting, and it allows you to go forward into this brighter future. These bubbles, if you like, have the figures of men, women, and children in them. Very interesting depiction of the death card, I think. Oh, the other thing I'll say here is that it looks like he's dancing, and that's reminiscent to me of the Hindu god Shiva, who is often depicted as dancing. Shiva is the god of death, destruction, and renewal. So something in your life during this period is going to be dying, disintegrating, or dissolving, whether it be a structure that you have created, a pattern, or a habit, or a way of thinking about yourself and the world. This is necessary for a new beginning for you and a transformation in your life. It is, as I say, a period of great transformation and perhaps of you facing your darkest fears. But remember, the darkest hour is just before the dawn. In order to grow and abandon the old, death is your protection against stagnation. You are forced to leave behind what you have outgrown, really. A time of major transformation, cutting through to the core, jettisoning the old and allowing sunlight to come in and the new to grow. I think what it is saying is that you will now be ready to make the necessary changes in your life. Accept any pain that may come with the loss of the old, and ask yourself, to what outdated relationships or situations might you be clinging? Say this thought to yourself at the time: I let go of people and situations with ease and dignity. Every ending heralds the new beginning. I now say yes to death. I now say yes to myself. Well, let's look, shall we, at the second quarter. And this card is entitled Science, but the secret name is the Lord of Earned Success. It is, for me, Mercury ruling the second decan of Aquarius, that 30th of January to about the 9th of February. Now here, the airy planet of Mercury, that androgynous messenger of the god, finds itself in the fixed sign of air, which is Aquarius. Now, in ordinary astrology, Mercury happens to be exalted in Aquarius, so it strengthens and it highlights the intellectual qualities of this card, and it highlights the fact that your mind will be razor sharp during this period. Now, Aquarius is an air sign, which is detached and intellectual by nature, and Mercury's ability to analyze and bring clear perspective, well, really gives you great ability going forward. The swords here are, in a sense, unremarkable. This is the centerpiece. It's the rose cross, which is a cube which is unfolded. It's in the color of yellow. Yellow, for me, has a mystical association with the sun and also with the number 6. So it's not surprising that I should find it in a mystical deck such as this. Here is a square that is in the background, and a circle, which is about squaring the circle. The hilts, it may be difficult to pick this up, but the hilts of the swords have different colors, and that just represents the colors of the trajectories of the classical planets, those before the outer planets were discovered. Fascinating pinwheels around there. A lot of air around here, a lot of things to do with your mind. You will have the ability to analyze, to unify ideas. You'll have an all-encompassing vision, an all-embracing understanding and objectivity. But I have to say that the astrology does suggest that a sort of a somewhat detached but balanced assessment of a situation is going to be needed during this time. You'll be required to analyze something without any bias and too much emotion in order to get the best result. Aquarius is also the sign of innovation and originality. So this can also represent communicating ideas in a new or even unconventional way, but which really get the point across. I think it's also safe to say, looking at it where it's positioned, that you will have intellectual clarity from having learned things with your experience, through difficult experiences that you have had in the past. You will have grown through tough times, and by now you will have a handle on life and can make intelligent decisions that are going to benefit your life. There's a greater level of awareness to your thinking and actions. It could also mean that there is a particular situation here that you may not really have been able to get to grips with, but during this time, it now starts to come better. You're thinking out a better approach in dealing with the situation. The point is that you will possess the ability to perceive on different levels and from different perspectives. Your understanding of things will unite many different aspects. Where are and what are the ruts in your life? Consider that at the time and trust your insight. Communicate in a way with others so that they understand it. Allow this rose to unfold and say to yourself that the rose of recognition blossoms in my heart. Now, just after mid-year and going through up until September, this energy is attached to you. This is the Three of Discs. It is the Lord of material work, and it is for me Mars again, this time ruling the second decan of Capricorn. Mars in Capricorn. Well, Mars supplies energy, assertion, vitality, and Capricorn supplies you with ambition, practicality, and making things tangible. Now, Mars is exalted in Capricorn, which means it's Mars at its best. Therefore, these have a very good relationship with each other, and this is very favorable. The energy of Mars is constructive under the influence of Capricorn rather than that of its usual destructive self. And Capricorn's materialism benefits from the energy and activity of Mars, so this is a card that says that it's very favorable for investing time and focus into your material world, which can include work and home life. Looking at some of the symbology that's on the card here, well, the main figure is a pyramid, which is viewed from the top. The red pyramid, it's sort of red coloured, and I see that as being the influence of Mars that's coming in here. Now, these three things here, you ask yourself, what might they be? Well, to me, they are like the three gunas from Hindu philosophy, where there is Mercury or air at the top, which is sattvas, sulfur or fire, rajas, and salt or water, tamas, and this indicates balance and harmony. So really a time of really high self-confidence, I think, for you, Taurus, during this period. Possible to have a new job or a change in your career. You'll get satisfaction from what it is that you're doing, and you'll be doing a good job. There's continued progression and productivity here, probably some teamwork and consulting with others, and maybe even getting outside help. It speaks of a reward for your hard work and dedication. Your skills and knowledge are going to move you forward. So it's good outcomes for career and business projects and practical matters in general. They could be around the garden or even around the home. These are in balance, these gunas that are here. And so this says you need to follow things which are fulfilling for your body, your mind, and your heart. And you'll have a great ability to stick with things, overcoming obstacles, and living with the wind in your spinnaker. It could be that some situation is demanding your readiness to work steadily, I think. And if that's the case, engage yourself totally, because it's going to be worth it. But I'd ask you to consider this question before this time of year. In what areas do you still hold yourself back? In which areas could you be giving more of your energies? Find out and remain aware of what you want to set your full energies towards achieving, and have this thought in mind: I am now ready to give and receive everything. Which takes us to the final quarter of the year, and let's have a look at it. This is Major Arcana of the Moon. Let's have a look at it. And some of the imagery in it, well, a lot of it's probably not going to make a lot of sense to most people, but I will say this: you'll probably be familiar with this. This is the scarab beetle, otherwise known as a dung beetle, which in Egyptian mythology took the sun across the heavens each day. These are the two gatekeepers into the realm of heaven after death. So you go through and then off into heaven. So this is saying there's a good thing there. Here is a symbol of the moon, of course. Underneath it here is blue sky. So whatever else may be going on, it says that there is a fantastic result for you during this time. And there's also a great degree of sexuality around this card, and you might consider that in relation to this image here. Sexuality is part of life, so that's good. Now, what can we say about this thing? Well, first of all, this for me is the ruler of the flux and reflux, the child of the sons of the mighty. It is Neptune in Pisces with Venus exalted. Now, Pisces is very much associated with the subconscious, with the emotions, with intuition, and with artistry. And this is the last of the major arcana, for me anyway, which have a zodiac sign that I attribute to them. Neptune in Pisces. Well, Neptune's watery depths are associated with dreams, with visions, and the imagination, which links it in with the qualities of the moon, I think. It could be that there is a time when something in your life is not as it appears to be, a situation which may be deceiving. So just be on the lookout. I don't think there's anything dramatic coming out here because there's a good ending coming through. But you may be able to save yourself some time and effort in dealing with something or with someone. It could be at some point there that you are feeling lost and unsure about which way to go, that you're out in an outer area of a suburb or a township or something, and the GPS doesn't work and there are no lights and you don't know which way to go. But it could well be that you are harboring a negativity, because this can often represent the shadow self, the subconscious, or the hidden self. So there's a negativity which could be suppressed, and you may not until this time become aware of it. And you will need to release that destructive energy. And very often feelings from childhood have been repressed and can have a negative impact on your current situation. So there could be some mental confusion or a period there where there's a little bit of lack of clarity, but I think you'll have very much increased psychic abilities. So this situation which is deceiving or appears deceiving, you'll get to the bottom of it. I've got to say though, and this is really coming up to me now, is that I think that this represents that you will be gifted in turning difficult situations into positive events. You will work through difficult situations and relationships. And I think that you won't tolerate, and you'll have little tolerance for self-deception or illusion. and you will have an unusual, attractive magnetism, personally, and I have to say physically, to other people during this time. Well, that's the way it is for you. Well, there you go, 2021 in a snapshot. It's been great fun doing that reading for you, and I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did providing it to you. Now, I look forward to seeing you in the monthly readings, okay? But until then, just remember one thing always, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, it's bye for now.